Content warning. Today's episode of Pop Culture covers topics that may be disturbing for some viewers or listeners. Viewer and listener discretion is advised.
Hello, my lovely hummingbirds. How's it going, everyone? Sorry. It is cold in Kansas City. That said, happy holidays to all of those that celebrate, and that you're just overall celebrating this time to be around loved ones and friends and family. The video you are going to see of makeup and motivation for this week, right, is something I recorded a very long time ago around Mexican Independence Day, and just life, partial procrastination, and health just doing its whole shebang on me. I wasn't able to do everything that I needed to in the time frame that I wanted to, unfortunately. But I still think the information in there is very pertinent as far as like the topic we discuss about making history and what that's all about, and also just to catch up on things that occurred at the time in September in the city of Chicago, where I reside, and other things going on as a whole regarding immigration. I hope you enjoy the video. Nonetheless, I hope you have happy holidays. I hope you are enjoying the time surrounded by those that you love and those that love you. And I love you, my lovely hummingbirds. It's good to be back. I miss y'all. And enjoy the episode.
Hello, my lovely hummingbirds. How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Makeup and Motivation here on Pop Culture with your lovely host, Monroe. It's been entirely too long, y'all. I've been lifing. Life has been lifing, and in the best way possible. It's been an interesting time, to say the least, which is why I was gone for so long. But happy Hispanic Heritage Month. Happy mental health awareness. Happy spooky season. Happy history in the making moments, my lovely hummingbirds. On today's episode, we will be discussing everything going on in the world, especially El Grito de la Independencia, or the first scream? No, that doesn't sound right. It is essentially the shout that is done in Mexico celebrating the independence, marking the first Grito de Dolores from back in the day that began the liberation of the Mexican people. And this year it was done by none other than a woman. So yeah, I'm gonna wear a cute fucking floral top that my mommy got me from the motherland, and we're gonna do a Latina style makeup. I don't know, bold red lip, brown eyes. It just felt like the vibe. But yeah, I'm really excited for this episode. Before we get into that, though, I would really appreciate it if you would all join me in a moment of silence for the lives that we have lost in recent times since the last recording of Pop Culture. Please join me now for a moment of silence. Thank you all so much for joining me in that moment of silence. I greatly appreciate it, my lovely hummingbirds. And now, without further ado, the makeup look. Hi, my lovely hummingbirds. It's been a long time, but we're back. And to kick off today's makeup look, we are going to start off with the Supergoop Glow Glass Vanilla Soft Serve. It is an SPF 50 lip balm. It feels amazing on the lips. Our skin has already been prepped prior to this with Skin Fix face cream and Caudalie eye cream. Now, that said,
we're gonna apply our Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadow primer and get our eyes set up for today's makeup look. Honestly, this application process took me a lot longer than I expected as far as the eyeshadow primer. Me and eyeshadow primers, that working through the consistency and what they're supposed to like layer on as, we've been struggling all freaking year. Anywho, make sure as you apply your eyeshadow primer to apply it equally on both sides so that you don't have one eye brighter than the other. And usually I just sit here and ponder my existence, waiting for it to dry, but today we don't have time for that. And thank you, Diana, for our hand fan all the way from Japan. So this is essentially the color palette we are going to be using. It is the collaboration of Coca-Cola and Morphe. To kick us off, we're going to be we're going to use the shade Join Hands. And there is a whole lot of controversy as far as Coca-Cola, and at this moment, everything that happened as far as immigration and the way that the corporation called immigration onto their employees, it's a whole mess, but it is a company that is very strong within the Hispanic Latino community. And the point is the colors, not that palette, not the brand. Anywho, make sure that for this shade, for the lighter shade, you are doing on the outer corner of your eyes if you're following along with your own makeup. Outer corner and like upper brow bone area. Now, directly on our eyelid, we are going to go in with the shade Perfect Harmony. It is this cute, like, golden, shimmery shade. I absolutely love it, honestly. I'm like, yeah, Perfect Harmony for sure. It's like, oh my god, it's like I gotta be golden. Not me with Huntress on the brain, y'all. That movie has me in chokehold. Like this freaking shade of eyeshadow. But apply that all over the lids, going a little bit above, blending into that first tone that you use, so that like it's a little bit more of like a seamless blended look. Up next, we're gonna go in with Lovey Dovey right underneath our brow line. So this is going to be like the highlight of your look, one of them, because this whole look is honestly shiny and I am obsessed with it. But you are going to do right underneath that brow line. Then we're going to go in with some warm fuzzies and deepen that first tone that we used. Make sure you're blending as you go along, my lovely hummingbirds. And this you are going to take and extend into like the inner corner of your eye and a little past the outer corner of your eye as well. Do not forget to blend as you go, my lovely hummingbirds. And after that, we're going to go in with a commercial break right in the crease. I mean, get all up in there deep. Don't hurt yourselves in the process. But this is going to be what is going to help sharpen the look up a bit and give a bit more definition, so it's not just like, you know, solid. Like a solid blend. It's going to give a little bit more depth to the look.
Originally, I could remember that the palette was 1971, but, you know, not the point right now. Up next, we're going to go in with Iconic Italy. And this one, you are going to drag from the utmost outer corner of your eye into about, I want to say a quarter of the way of your eyelid. It kind of looks like half, leaning towards half. But, you know, Iconic Italy, because I'm iconic and I love to do iconic shit. Like Kimberlina says. Oh my god, you guys. The best of the sweating is all I thought of right now. My brain. So we're going to go in with the Sephora Collection Reveal the Real Skin Tint in the shade 200N. And when I tell y'all, I'm obsessed with this skin tint. And not just because I worked at Sephora, but because it feels so good on the skin. It doesn't have like a goopy feel or anything like that, or like overly runny. I don't know how to explain it, or like oily, but I am a dry girly, so keep that in mind. Love this as just like my throw on, boom, 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 quick makeup, but also for a more layered look. It holds a very like, even though I mattify the fuck out of my face, I feel like it does still hold a little bit of that dew, which I love. We're going to go in with the Huda Beauty setting powder in the shade Cupcake. This was before the reformulation, and we're just going to go ahead and apply that on our entire face with this giant brush that I have because, yeah, we're just going and sweeping it in, and then we're going to go in with the Freck Face Hack Blur and Bond setting spray. Actually pretty fucking obsessed with the setting spray. It's really good. And I like that the little spray thing doesn't get stuck, which kudos to them. Up next, we're going to go in, while that setting spray isn't completely dry yet, with the Milk Makeup Future Fluid Creamy Longwear Hydrating Concealer in the shade 18W. And again, just really trying to bring every, like the focus to the center of our face, essentially. Yeah. Not highlighter, jeez. Concealer, super creamy. It does have hyaluronic acid, so if you want it to match a little closer to the actual tones of your face in order to have that be like your quick grab and go look, this is definitely a really good concealer to do that with. And my favorite concealer brush of all time from Hourglass. Sorry about that. I was having a mini little coughing fit, but absolute favorite brush. Obsessed. And for the under eye area, though, I do want to say you don't want to like brush it out. You do want to do kind of like a pat, 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 pat. Almost like if you were using your fingers, just because we're trying to make a very like sleeked out look. And clearly I have bags under my eyes because I have not been sleeping. And then of course we're going to go back in with the Huda Beauty setting powder right where we applied our concealer, just to get everything set and fixed and make sure that it doesn't move, because we are going to be in front of these lights for quite some time, plus some other activities we got going on the back end. Up next, the NARS Hot Escape Cheek Palette 2. Love it. We're using the bronzer and highlighter from this palette. It's so pretty. Obsessed. We're going to go in with the Laguna 3 shade from NARS, classic shade of theirs, right into our upper cheekbone area. So when it comes to like contouring, right, because I'm using this as more of like contour than just a bronzer, you want to really follow the shape of your face if you are trying to accentuate your features. If you are trying to morph your features to some capacity, we're going to get more into that. I have a whole plan to do like a video about contour specifically, but yeah, I go in and contour in the face
contouring my forehead, contouring everything that I can possibly contour. Also, shout out for this Say brush because it is dual ended and it has that cutesy nose contour tip too, which like makes it so much easier. Although my little silver brush that I got freaking entirely too long ago is still like my go-to because I'm just like boom, 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 boom for the most part. But this one definitely has become a staple in my makeup drawer, kit, toolbox, whatever it is that you hold your brushes in, my lovely hummingbirds. Now we are going to brush the brows because they have gotten layers of setting spray and moisturizer and makeup all over them. Then that was just a pet peeve of mine, but we're gonna go in with the shade Electra for that highlight, and this is one brush that I will take with me to my grave. Obsessed, love it, got it at Walmart freaking probably 10 years ago now. Actually, way more than that. I want to say I got her in like 2013, a while ago in Arizona when I was visiting family. This brush and I have been through a lot of things together. Up next, we're gonna go in. Oh, look at me! We're gonna go in with the Patrick Ta Major Headlines Double Take Cream and Powder Blush Duo in the shade She's Wanted. Stunning. I will say this: the lining that I had for this video did not do this blush any justice. It is very berry. It is gorgeous. It is stunning. It is. I'm obsessed with all the blushes. I own pretty much a lot of Patrick Ta blushes, but I can't help it. They're so good. And that e.l.f. brush, yeah, I've owned her for a hot minute too. If you've been watching, Makeup Motivation for a minute, you've seen this brush a lot. And yes, I am blush blind, in case you were wondering. Once we're done applying our blush, we're going to go in with the Benefit Cosmetics Precisely My Brow Pencil Shade 4.5. And there should have been a comma after pencil in my phrase, but love it. Super thin, really good for defining the brows, really good for drawing on the brows. I love it for fill-in. I feel like my left eyebrow has a lot less hair than my right eyebrow. And that is just a personal observation. But especially when I'm doing a like more detailed look or trying to do a sharper line for my brows, this is definitely the way to go. Also, it's Benefit, and like Benefit Cosmetics and brows just simply go together. Now, my lovely hummingbirds, I do want to say for this next part, it's not something that I always did, but it is something that once I got more comfortable in my own skin, started to do, and that was paint over the makeup I had done and like find my beauty marks and define each one. With this one, I'm just going back in with that iconic Italy because it's the like brownest shade and matches my beauty marks, and I have a lot of them. Literally have a constellation on my face. But yeah, embrace you, my lovely hummingbirds. Up next, we're gonna go in with the Makeup by Mario Master Matte's liquid liner in the shade Super Black. Such a good eyeliner. I'm obsessed with it. I will say this, while it is I can't even say brand spanking new. I've had this for a hot minute now. Very good, very easy glide on. I absolutely love it. Do not leave it open. Do not put yourself in a space where it starts to dry out, because initially I felt no tug at all. It just gliding on. But now, a few months even after I recorded this video, once trying to apply them, the tug is real when it starts to dry out. So just a little of what not to do with your liquid eyeliners. Other than that, look at that, stunning, gorgeous, immaculate. One final glance over at the eyeliner. And you know what that means. Yep, more setting spray. When I tell y'all this look was so freaking layered. And we're going back in with our Japan fan. So happy. I was like, girl, yes. Anyways, for our lip liner, we are using an eyeliner. It is the Sephora Collection 12-hour retractable eyeliner in the shade matte brown. Reason being, this I felt like was a very good neutral brown lip liner. The other one I was thinking of was Hiatus, which felt a little bit on the warmer tone. And then the Fenty Beauty one that I have felt a little too cool toned for this look. So this was a happy median. It was also a bit like deeper than the other two. Don't mind me as I'm reading a text message that came in as I was recording one day. I will not tilt my head to the side because I will have an actual camera to record this content, or at least a phone specific for just content. But yeah, y'all, did I used to line my lips previously? No. Is this something that I definitely picked up after working at Sephora? A lot more. Yeah. Definitely. It definitely became like a staple of my look, but that's just because I'm Mexican, and I feel like I look chola as fuck anytime I do lip liner, which, stigma? Potentially. Anyway, when applying the lip liner, I did apply, blend out by pressing my lips together, and then reapplied because I wanted to create a very cutesy ombre effect to the lips, because we're going to be doing kind of a dual tone. It's going to be the brown, and then we are adding our Givenchy Le Rouge Deep Velvet in the shade 37. It is 37 across the board again, not against all Givenchy shades. Yeah, it is number 37 across all 3 different types of lipsticks. But I love this fucking lip. It's so pretty. It was actually inspired by one of the brand reps that I used to work with. Mr. Such a sweetheart. Up next, we are going with the Sephora Collection mascara in the brown shade. And this is her Size Up mascara. It is so, look at that brown. She is brown. She is so beautiful. She's stunning. She is the moment. And I did kind of fuck up because I kind of broke the tube. So it usually does not come out this heavy. But, I was already deep into creating the look, and I was like, oh well,
It happened for a reason, God. We're gonna get that falsies effect without the falsies. There's a thing in mascara tubes that kind of like helps wring out your wand essentially, so that like you don't get a very like clumpy look. But I was like, you know what, we're just gonna roll with it here because this is just what happened and the show must go on. Okay, here's the thing. I did do on top and on the bottom of my eyes as far as the mascara, and honestly, I should have probably done that at the end, right? No regrets. Like, it looks gorgeous. My eyes look so brown. They look beautiful. But we are adding 2 shades on that under part. Grow with it and bling along. Very pretty, very mauve-y and like pinky and brown, just to bring the look together. But this part would have been a like gajillion times easier had I done it before I applied the mascara, because I had to like wait in between actually applying this so that I wouldn't crazily smudge it everywhere. So yeah. But I just couldn't help myself. Like, the mascara looks so good and I got so excited. I'm just like So, what do we think? I'm gonna do my hair and change, and then I'll catch you on the rest of the video. I hope you enjoyed the makeup look. Love you, bye! Hi, my lovely hummingbirds. So, what do we think about the makeup look? I mean, amazing. The top, stunning, gorgeous, from the motherland, literally from my mother's homeland. She got it back a few years ago when she went to one of my cousin's weddings in Mexico, and I am obsessed with this shirt. I love it so much. I do wish it would stay more off the shoulder. It just doesn't agree with me. It doesn't stay where I want it to, but I also use my hands a lot when speaking. Hi, my lovely hummingbirds. So, today we're going to talk about a few different things going on in the world, mainly going on here in the US. Things going on as far as the Mexican Independence Day celebrations that occurred, as well as what it means to make history within your own lives, as is the title of today's episode, History in the Making. What does that mean as far as the love you have for yourself? No idea why I'm anxious. It's gonna be an interesting reading interesting reading. We also have the full moon in Aries, so there's that during Libra season. So if we're all feeling a little bit of some type of way at this current moment, yeah, everybody's feeling it, my lovely hummingbirds. So before we begin, all my chaos ramblings already starting. Insane. Congratulations to Selena Gomez and Benny Blanco for their nuptials. She looked stunning. Beautiful, amazing. Love to see it. Taylor Swift did have to go on Jimmy Fallon and basically say, like, no, I did not talk about myself because that was one of the rumors that was going around. And she was like, oh, you beat me to the altar. She's like, I did not say that. Why? No. Which, like, we love that she didn't make it about herself. And we are going to get into a review of the life of a showgirl in a separate episode. Completely separate from makeup and motivation. It's going to be its own little episode because I have opinions. I have many opinions as far as that album is concerned. Now, as far as things that have been occurring in this country, oh, the Chiefs also lost recently. at the time of me recording, my dad was watching the game. And I was like, damn, they lost. I've also been scrolling through TikTok entirely too much down the Taylor Swift hate train as far as like this new album is concerned. So a whole lot of T Swift heavy on the brain at the moment. However, all that aside, we are living in a moment in history, my lovely hummingbirds. Literally history in the making. And for all my lovely fellow millennials out there that are like, bruh, my life has been history in the making since I was born. I get it. I really do. We had TV wheeled in and we saw tragedy live on our screens, and everyone was just like, yeah, it's normal, traumatize the children. But we are living in very, very tumultuous times, to say the least. The administration, or specifically Trump, has declared war on U.S. citizens. He's also called for the resignation of high-ranking military officials, sergeants, generals, commanders, etc., that do not essentially do as they are told per the orders that he gives. And I mean, watching that interview in itself is just atrocious. Besides that, this past week here in Chicago, ATF and ICE officials went into a South Shore building, and from what I was seeing online, a few buildings in the South Loop, that the residents of those buildings are predominantly Black and Latino Americans. And while they did detain certain individuals, and mind you, ATF is alcohol, tobacco, and I can't remember what the F stands for, but essentially they deal with drugs and trafficking and illegal substances, etc. But they, along with ICE, went in full, like, what you would imagine, and it's like going into a war zone, jumping out of a helicopter, flashbangs, zip tying all civilians in the building, separating the children from their parents, and I'm talking children, little babies, families that live in this building. And so far to the point that they were basically telling the Black Americans in this building that it did not matter if there were if they were legal or not, they were going to search for warrants for all individuals within this building. Meaning no warrants were presented at the time of detainment of any of these individuals, which is not legal. Besides that, with Trump declaring war on U.S. citizens in Chicago and Portland, he basically stated a line that was used back in 1930s Germany, which people were very quick to point out, is that he wants to destroy the enemy within, or that he's going after the enemy within, specifically being Democrats, blue-leaning individuals that are maybe Republican but not conservative enough, or those that did not vote for him, and making his stance very apparent in various interviews that is what he is doing. One of the other things for my lovely hummingbirds that are tuning in to pop culture, and you are tuning in from anywhere around the world that is not the US of A, and say you call the White House or you go onto any USA government website, you will see that it says that the radical left has shut down the government. That is not the case. The government did not shut down because Democrats were in charge of doing so, first off. And just to point to that, the House, the Senate, Congress, the White House, it's all Republican ran. So even if the radical left, as our administration here in the States put it, wanted to, they don't hold majority rule or majority power to make such a move. the reason for the government shutdown, which personally I don't like government shutdowns. No me gustan, because when a government shutdown occurs, it not only closes off Congress and Senate and House and Representatives and the White House itself, but it also shuts down any federal aid, ability for small businesses to obtain or apply for loans. It also shuts down the Federal Reserve, meaning whatever banks have, that's all they got. So it really does put a constraint on everyone at a regular civilian level to some capacity. Now, also occurring here in Chicago, I know you guys have all seen the video of the guy that antagonized the police officers that was on the bike, and he dropped his phone and then went back and still, or not the police officer, he antagonized ICE agents. And he was on his bike, and he dropped his phone, grabbed it, and dipped. And then Univision, and this is what I was told after the fact, I was like, what? Apparently Univision interviewed this man, and they were like, oh, so you're an immigrant? And he's like, nope, American citizen, got papers and everything. They're like, why did you do it? And he's like, basically like, why not use my free will type shit, which I was like, sir, may your pillow always be cold. But this is not the first thing of the like that we have seen as far as people finding their own way to protest against ICE and protest against the unlawful, because I can't even say arrest, kidnapping is a word that has been heavily applied to it, of immigrant civilians here in the country, as well as individuals that are not immigrants. Because if I'm not mistaken, a couple weeks back, the Congress essentially passed where it was okay for ICE to racially profile individuals that looked illegal, that looked like an immigrant, which everyone obviously went into an uproar of like, what does that even look like? And considering the most recent attack to the South Shore apartments and other South complexes, including other detainments that have occurred in and around the city of Chicago, well, clearly this is racially motivated, which anyone that's been paying attention since the start said it would be. Said that's what was going to happen, is what is happening, and it is causing what is already a very tight division amongst individuals even tighter, especially considering that the administration is trying to drive a wedge of, it is Democrats versus Republicans, it is the radical left versus everyone else, it is Latinos versus everyone else, and it really ain't that. Besides that, J.B. Pritzker is the governor of Illinois, and he has called to enact the 25th Amendment, which basically motions for the removal of the president or the sitting president due to health reasons. And some people commended him for doing this. Others were like, is it really going to do anything? They tried impeaching him. It didn't work. Others are saying, well, if we get Vance, that is the lesser of two evils in this, the worser of two evils in this situation for some. And at this point, considering the amount of constitutional amendments and constitutional rights that have been egregiously gone against by the administration, and the way in which civilians have been attacked here in the States, and just the overall going against everyone's constitutional rights, the people are upset. And everyone is essentially asking for Trump and his administration not only to be removed from office or impeached in any way, because that keeps the presiding cabinet, but also to mark them all with treason and essentially gut it and start over because of just everything, my lovely hummingbirds. I've seen so many videos the past few months, past week, especially this week, these past couple weeks, of the detainment of individuals without a proper warrant, the detainment of an older person in a hospital as ICE agents went in to detain an individual, the shooting of a woman that went and ripped people's ICE agents' masks off. And my lovely hummingbirds, if you're watching me on YouTube and you're like, why do you keep putting little quotes every time you say ICE agents? Well, that's the thing, we really don't know, do we, my lovely hummingbirds? Because not all of them have been wearing the tactical gear like those that were standing on the bridge over on Michigan Avenue when that man on his bike was like, fuck y'all, right? A lot of these individuals have been in civilian vehicles, not marked, unmarked vans, in civilian clothing. There was a video that I saw very recently of a man over on 63rd Street that was fighting for his life to be pulled away, and people are recording because that is what they have been instructed to do by Pritzker, to not initiate any violence, but record and do as much as you can so that this does not occur. Individuals are very upset. Basically, the discourse online revolved around, hey, y'all could have taken them. And pop culture does not condone violence, my lovely hummingbirds, in any way, shape, or form. I am simply here reporting to y'all what I have seen. That said, a lot of the tactics being done by this administration, by ICE agents, very, very closely resemble other tactics from 1930s Germany, which is something that this country fought against as well. And now somehow here we are with our very own Gestapo. Now, I have heard discourse of individuals stating that, like, oh, well, they're pressing federal agents, etc., etc., etc. While to some capacity, yes, I understand that, but simply because federal agents are being pressed, right, to properly present forms signed by judges and knowing who it is they're going to arrest. Because in this one video, I mean, this guy was standing there with his lawyer in what looked like his job, in a high-rise, very pretty, very nice, and he's out here just choosing to stay silent. And his lawyer is like, can I see the arrest warrant? Show me the arrest warrant signed by a judge. And I don't have the full scope of what the full video was, but essentially he was like, you don't even know who you're looking for because they either had not said the correct name or had said that he was a completely different person or described someone that was not him. So he's like, clearly you're just out here freaking grabbing whomsoever at this point. That's not legal. Also, the was it the mayor or alderwoman from West Chicago? She ran after one of the cars and she was screaming through that area she was in, and she was telling people, stay inside, stay at home, do not open your doors. And she's chasing down this car of ICE agents, quote unquote, and they did not open the window to her and they just drove off. Same with the man over on 63rd Street. One of the individuals did have what appeared to be the same tactical gear as the individuals from the video that we all saw over in downtown, but one of them didn't. He was in civilian clothes, and both of these individuals were masked, which is something that J.B. Pritzker did say would not hold and should not happen here in Chicago. That if our law enforcement does not do that, they have no right to. Another video that I saw, and this one, it hurt in a different way. And mind you, my lovely hummingbirds, I'm just like, God, what the frick I'm afraid. And we're gonna get into the direct pipeline to God right now in a second, but it's the Catholic one, right? But I saw this video, and individuals were tear gassed at a protest, and some of those individuals that were tear gassed were police officers. Chicago police officers were attacked during this protest by these ICE agents. You see the aftermath, and you hear all the people telling the police officers, are you freaking kidding me? Like, essentially serve and protect, because they're attacking you too. They don't give a fuck about you either. And you just see the officers, one choking on the freaking smoke and trying to like make sense of heads or tails of what the hell just happened, and then like redirecting themselves and everything. And it's like, that is very, very dangerous territory. The way in which things are being moved, and we're going to speak a little more on this. We're going to get more into specific things that have occurred in next week's episode as well, as I get more information of some things that happened from like the day of me recording this video that I want to get more information on, because it's been scary, and it's getting much worse from everything I've seen thus far. That said, Trump is beefing with the Pope. So, and the reason being is Pope Leo, who's from here, Chicago, he did an interview. They asked him a question about essentially what he thinks about everything going on, and he said you cannot be pro-life and be against, pro-abortion, and then not give a fuck about how immigrants are treated, which, like, and individuals are out here on the internet scrambling and going against him, and people are like, you're telling me that these individuals that claim that they are Christian, that claim that they are God-fearing, etc., 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 are going against the direct pipeline to God, whom is the Pope in the Catholic faith, and siding with the orange one. Well, that's not okay. And other things going on as far as the administration is concerned, my lovely hummingbirds. This man ain't well health-wise. Reports were coming out that he has some issue going on with his veins, and just from the way in which he speaks and the fact that he thinks that he can impeach the president of Puerto Rico, which, I mean, he should do that. I saw this discourse where people were like, quick, Puerto Rico, now's your chance. Vote somebody in before he realizes it's him. And that's a whole other backlash that has been going on. A very racist backlash. Very, very underlying. So, besides what the Pope said, and besides all that's been going on, and the government shutdown that happened because they cannot reach a consensus over healthcare, and they want to say that the reason is because Democrats want to give healthcare benefits to immigrants. Well, that does occur on a state level in places such as California. That is not something that is federally acknowledged, and it is not something that is federally done. They just simply don't want to slash any more funding to our healthcare system, considering what happened to Medicare and Medicaid already earlier this year. We need to put money into our healthcare. They don't want to. Like, literally, slowly but surely. Anyway. And I bleeped it out because censorship. Which is another thing that this administration has been very involved with. They hated cancel culture. Hated it. So, couple weeks ago, this was towards the mid-end of September, roughly, Jimmy Kimmel, love me some Jimmy Kimmel, is a late-time talk show host here in the States. And around the time, and this was, I want to say, at least a weekend already, or a few days in, from the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And if you guys don't know who Charlie Kirk is, he was a conservative debater. He essentially went around to different universities, brought up conversations around ideologies of the right wing, right, of the conservatives, of Republicans, and his own personal ideologies, and would speak on the radical left as well and create the space for debate. He was assassinated, and I can't remember the exact, it was a month ago. It was a little over a month ago. Today's the 7th. It was a month ago. Roughly. It was on the first couple weeks of September. And he was shot and killed, literally in the jugular, by a sniper at a college campus here in the United States. And it caused a shitstorm as far as narrative was going around that if individuals were celebrating his death, etc., etc., etc. And, so many people came out and said, like, it's not that we're necessarily celebrating his death, it's more so that we are not celebrating his life. Because this was a man that spewed hate. This was a man that, and to some capacity, he very much did. And my heart goes out to his wife and children that he left behind. He was a man that spoke against minorities, and a man that spoke against the LGBTQIA plus community and rights of individuals. Like, he said some dirt, some grimy shit, y'all. It takes not but one Google search to see just everything he said. And they had this whole thing, and his wife was like, I forgive his killer. And we're gonna get more into like Charlie Kirk on my Patreon, and a little bit more on like specifics of everything and conspiracies that revolved around there, because of there were Amazon books next day printed, when Amazon takes at least a week to vet certain things. So that, and then Trump himself, in an interview that he did, they asked him a question about something Charlie had said, and he was like, well, I guess he won't be saying it anymore now, right? And chuckled. Yet Jimmy Kimmel, for simply stating the facts of what had occurred, was censored. He was indefinitely suspended by essentially the Disney Corporation, which is the head company that owns his show. And when I tell you, the backlash was immediate. People were canceling their subscriptions left and fucking right. My lovely hummingbirds were like, cancel Disney trip, cancel Disney subscription, cancel this, cancel that, cancel that. And if I'm not mistaken, less than 48 hours, they had lost over $4 billion to $5 billion. And they were like, wait, actually, come back. And everyone outside looking in was like, now you know damn why you put this man back on the air. He is not the only late night show talk host to deal with censorship. Stephen Colbert as well, after how blatant he's been about his views of the Trump administration. His show has since been canceled, and it is honestly so heartbreaking, and I love every guest that he's brought on since. He's like, you know what, fuck y'all then. Y'all gonna do this? Gloves are off, and as they should be. In further censorship news, so I know, my lovely hummingbirds, if you're viewing me, whether it is on YouTube, TikTok, Spotify, Instagram, whatever way, shape, or form you tune into this podcast, or snippets of it, you have to some capacity been on TikTok or have heard the uproar around TikTok banning, censorship, reinstating into the country, and then purchasing of the US portions of TikTok. And JD Vance, who is the current vice president of the US of A, went on, they did an interview and basically stated that they did not want any foreign propaganda, and that essentially only the propaganda that was of benefit to their investors. And people in the comments were like, yes, no foreign propaganda, no Chinese propaganda, but come on down with the US propaganda. And as they are being interviewed about this, and they're acknowledging Trump, and they're like, oh, Mr. President, and he kind of just like his whole body language when he's being addressed is very not there, very dismissive, or very like he's not really speaking to present time, or he is, but is keeping his words very concise and very within like answering the question but not answering it at all type thing. And we're gonna get more into that separately. Just overall, like, what are the things being said as far as his mental health, etc., etc., etc. The internet is currently in a uproar because a Christian man that is American is going to be performing at the Super Bowl. And if you're tuning in, my lovely hummingbirds, and you're like, what? Well, if you are Catholic, you are Christian because you believe in Christ, are you not? And if you are Puerto Riqueño, you are an American citizen because Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory. And apparently everybody except Trump knows that, because he damn well did say this man is so pressed, but he said he spoke to the president of Puerto Rico and he's gonna get him impeached, and then he was like, oh, blah blah blah, we've come to terms, and everyone's like, is he talking to himself in a mirror? Because what is going on? Apart from that, I think one of my favorite comments was like, my daughter's 5 or 8 or something, and they're like, and she said, does he not realize that's him? She's like, a child knows his role, right? Besides that, wait, before I get into the Bad Bunny of it all, just love me some Benito. The entire world is currently laughing at this administration, and I mean everyone. He is talking about ending unendable wars and peace treaties he's gotten done, and etc., etc., etc. And the heads of these countries are literally shaking hands with each other, laughing, and they're like, oh, you forgot to thank such and such, oh, you forgot to thank Trump for this, oh, blah 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 blah, and laughing. Internationally, this man is a laughing stock, and that is a very, very dangerous place for this government to be. That is not a good thing, my lovely hummingbirds. I just want to put that out there. That is while big political figures might not always agree with each other, they should have some form of political understanding, and that is not something that is occurring with this current administration. Now, back to the Bad Bunny of it all. So, Bad Bunny was recently announced, which at first, so, I don't know where I saw that Youngblood was going to headline the Super Bowl. And then, I don't know, I guess that just never went through, or I don't know what happened. I don't know if that was that a fever dream? But that's what I had seen at first. And then I saw Bad Bunny, like, I want to say like a week later, that he's gonna headline. I'm so happy. Not because I don't love Youngblood. I don't know what happened with that. I don't know if that was fake news. I was gonna say, I don't know if that was fake news. But yeah, no clue. Not that I don't love me some Youngblood. I absolutely do. I don't know if it was never confirmed, or if it was just like one of those things that like gets reported online but isn't actually real type thing. No idea, but Bad Bunny's is, and he's gonna headline and he's gonna be there, and I'm so proud of him. And like everyone else has said, I hope he doesn't speak a lick of English. Also, I fucking love him so much. He is chronically online. Someone on his team is, because he definitely saw all the videos that everyone was making during his residency and everything that everyone has said as far as the discourse of like, I hope he doesn't speak a lick of English at the Super Bowl. So, and we're gonna do an episode on Bad Bunny, on Debí Tirar Más Fotos, on like himself and his like trayectoria and all of that, and like what he's created thus far, on a separate episode here on Pop Culture. But Bad Bunny is headlining and people are pissed. So far so that what's her face? Chrissy Noam is saying that the NFL is gonna regret it and blah blah blah. And I'm like, they're gonna make Apple Music, Apple and Jay-Z regret it. The NFL has been vying for a couple years now to become international. They're trying to pull like World Cup for the NFL type shit. Honestly, that's what it feels like to me from what I'm seeing outside looking in. And they're upset that Bad Bunny is headlining, and they said that it'd be a real American. And I'm like, they want a gringo. They want, and not just any gringo, they want like Kid Rock type gringo, right? They want someone that represents this current administration. And I can't do anything but laugh because I just love the amount of support that him headlining has gotten. Not just from like other Latino artists, but everyone. The people. Okay, the people are happy about this. I'm happy about this. And I love him so much. So he hosted SNL last week, and from me recording this, and not only did he do El Chavo del Ocho, which like, I love that. I'm so happy that my little Latina heart, my little Mexicana heart is just like, you know. But haciendo historia for real. But also, if you tune into the Spanish version and this version, first off, I fucking love you. Thank you for tuning in to both. There's a lot of stuff in the Spanish version. There's a lot of stuff in this version that's not in the Spanish version, because I recorded the Spanish version first before all of the rest of this happened. But anyway, that said, besides doing Chavo del Ocho, which like, awesome, he also... And wait, they did Huntrix. I fucking love it. Love me some Huntrix. Love me some Golden. We're going to talk about that as well on a separate episode. Makeup and motivation for sure. But I'm like, right now. He made a quip about like his video where he was like jumping and then he fucked up his knee. And how like everyone on TikTok was just like making videos and like putting captions to it, right? Like when you forget to do your stretches, right? When you forget Pilates, when you go from 29 to 30, like people were just like boom, boom, boom. So he put it on there and he's like, oh, you know, I gotta learn this difficult choreography. And he's like, it looks like it's not, but it's a lot for me. And I'm just like, he really watching us. And then he spoke Spanish during SNL. And basically told people, like, and if you didn't understand a lick of what I said, you have 4 months to learn. Pink came out and she was like, I'm learning. Which I love her. I love that. That is a white woman that I adore. But so many people have come out and spoken out and been like, okay, so y'all are trying to block him because he speaks Spanish. He also did come out and like stay for like all my gente Latina that like does not have papers to not go out to the Super Bowl because of the threats of stationing ICE outside of the stadium that day, which is just so fucked. But then, like, I had seen reports, and I'm not too sure, but I had seen reports that ICE was outside Rosemont because La Banda MS was here in Chicago. So, like, it's not too far-fetched that it is something that would happen. And then considering we're seeing members of Congress and Senate pass this year, you know, it whole lot of things looking a little extra suspicious, just saying. But it is not a surprise. It is not a surprise that Benito is going to headline the Super Bowl. It is not a surprise that Bad Bunny is making as many waves as he is. And, like, first off, hell yeah, happy Hispanic Heritage Month. But also, you know, as far as, like, Latino culture is concerned, it definitely has made a boom. I want to say it's always been there, but it's come so much more to the forefront, especially in recent years, with collaborations with, like, freaking J Balvin, DJ Snake being at the VMAs, Rauw Alejandro being at the VMAs last year, right? And, like, Bad Bunny headlining the Super Bowl, and, like, who did J Balvin bring? He brought out Lenny Tavares and Justin Quiles. Like, the mixing of the cultures, very there, right? Ricky Martin got his Latin pop icon, his Latin icon award at the VMAs this year, and, like, I love that. I love that the recognition is definitely moving in that direction, but I also do think that, like, besides it being completely overdue, no, I'm very proud of him. I think, especially considering everything going on in this country at present, it is something incredible to see. I think there is a lot more support and love being given to this than pushback, but then, of course, you know, that's my algorithm, right? And we're going to get more into algorithms in a separate episode. But speaking of making history, and congratulations, Bad Bunny, if you ever see this, come into pop culture, let me interview you and Marcelo, individually and at the same time. I don't care, but happy Hispanic Heritage Month, my lovely hummingbirds. We are making history. We are history in the making. Every freaking day. Every freaking fucking day is a brand new point in history, and as much as it aches my fucking heart, it has not been for the better since 2020. Since probably the end of 2019, if I'm completely honest with you. It's felt like a downhill battle. And I don't want to say uphill battle, because uphill at least we're making a little bit of progress, even if there's pushback. Downhill, I mean, we're fucking rolling in mud and shit, is what it feels like. And it has not gotten any better. From the Samud flotilla being literally ripped out of international waters, to Greta Thunberg being held hostage, to everything going on in Congo and Sudan and Palestine, and here in the States as far as the detainment of immigrants and just the utmost eradication of rights in this country and protections for vulnerable groups. History is being made every day. And one of the things that recently happened, right, because with every pile of what the fuckery and garbage and just burning trash can that we got going on, we have those moments of like, this is beautiful, this is awesome, this is
We might be going 50 steps backward in that way, but we got at least 10 in this one. And one of those things that happened, at least for me personally, that I cried about. And it's going to take, me to not cry. It's going to take a little bit to be for not crying this episode. But on September 16th, 2025. So, a little bit of backstory. Mexican Independence Day, for those of you that are wholly unaware and you did think that it was Cinco de Mayo, it is not. It is September 16th. The reason for that being, it's because in 1810, so September 16, 1810 at dawn, literally we right at dawn, the priest Miguel Hidalgo y Costilla, along with Ignacio Allende and Juan Aldama, rung the church bells. Well, the priest rung them, but he rung the church bells, calling for all the people of the Pueblo de Dolores to be up in arms to go against the Spanish Empire that had colonized and conquistado Mexico at that time. And that was the start to the Mexican Revolution, which came to its end on September 27th, 1821, when the Treaty of Córdoba was signed, or end to some capacity, right? Because, adjustments and war continued after that and all this other stuff. But, California used to be ours. Plus a bunch of other states, but not the point. Entirely the point, but not the point right now. So, Mexico gained its independence 11 years later, along with a bunch of other countries in Latin America. And so the ringing of the bells and the calling for people to be up in arms against the tyrannous government that had taken over, it's basically called Grito de Dolores, because it was the call to arms, which in Spanish we call grito, but in English the verbatim translation is scream or yell, and that just doesn't sound right. But it was a call to arms in the town of Dolores, which is now Dolores Hidalgo, Guanajuato. My mama is from over there, not from Dolores Hidalgo, but she's from Guanajuato. And she's so proud because her birthday is on September 16, which I think is hilarious. Her birthday is September 16 and my brother's is July 4th. And I was like, wow, how fitting. You were born there and he was born here. But anyway, little fun fact aside. Every year, we watch the celebration of Mexican Independence Day. Since I was a little girl. Since as far as I can remember. We would always watch it. And mind you, it happens at midnight every year, and it was kind of like the kickoff to her birthday celebrations every year. And over the years, whether it's because I had woken up to say goodbye to my dad as he went off to work at a factory that he gave 20 plus years to, or I was up awake because of medication and endometriosis health issues and I couldn't sleep, or simply because I wanted to be there with her and watch it with her as I could see the joy spread across her face as the president at that time that was saying it would say Viva Mexico. And I remember, and this is years ago, right, when I still believed I could do everything and be anything. I still do, but there's just a whimsy about it when you're a kid. And yeah, I'm still very that delusional. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna interview famous celebrities one day and I'm gonna do all these things and make all these bridges and make pop culture like that place where local artists and big name artists can come together and do beautiful art together. That's just the way my brain works, right?
I'll be the next Rolling Stone. But I would sit there and I would ask her questions, whether it was about her childhood or our family or like ancestors or belief systems or Mexican culture, or I'd ask her about like how to make certain foods and why, right? And one day I was like, has a woman ever done it? And she's like, what? Done what? And I was like, have they ever done like the Viva Mexico, done el Grito de Dolores? And she looked at me and she was like, no. And as a little girl, right, whose parents have told her anyone can do anything, I was like, why not? And she's like, because it's the president that does it, and Mexico has never had a female president. And I was like, but we had women that fought for our independence. And I was like, there's literally a whole like culture around clothing and makeup styles and fighting styles and horse riding styles that we give homage to these women. Why don't we have a female president? Why has Mexico never had a female president? And I'm just like, my little brain is like speaking a lot faster than she can answer these questions. And she kind of just, it's like, it's just something that hasn't happened. And this year, in the year of our Lord 2025, it happened. Will not cry. And I sat here in what is what feels like one of the darkest times for mi gente Latina, for mi gente Mexicana in the US. And granted, well, I do not know, right, because I'm not in Mexico, I don't see firsthand everything that is happening over there, and I can only find out through like things I see on TikTok or reportajes from like noticieros mexicanos, or speaking to family, right? Like, I don't actually know firsthand about Claudia Sheinbaum and her administration and how they're handling things over there. I do know, however, there is deep-rooted misogyny when it comes to our culture, and very traditional gender roles, and like the whole like nuclear family mindset, and just very the place of women and men are very established roles and what that looks like, or what it should look like, right? And to see this woman, which is so hilarious to me, because like I have yet to meet a Mexican or Latino household where it's not run by the woman, but I'm gonna just leave that for a topic of conversation for a different episode. And we're gonna talk about feminism on Patreon. And if you, my lovely hummingbirds, are like, what do you mean, why are we gonna talk about feminism in Road? Because we all enjoy the fruits of feminism. All of us, even the men. Surprise, surprise, even y'all. We all definitely enjoy the fruits of the labor of the women before us that fought for the rights that we have today. That said, this woman, right, and here's a little snippet of El Grito right quick, like, And if you have not gone ahead and seen the full, like, Grito de Dolores, you should. If you don't understand, that's okay. You got 4 months to learn Spanish, like Bad Bunny said. Other than that, you could just go ahead and support and enjoy the vibes. But she did it with full female soldiers behind her. Even the parade on the following day, you saw all of the service women in Mexico. And my dad is so funny because I was like, I want a little beret. And he's like, yeah, go serve. And I was like, I don't want to do that though. And because feminism, I get to exercise my right to be like, no, I don't want to go do that, right? But thanks, Dad. But my little joke aside, ain't hablando de mí. I sat there. And after my dad went to bed, and my mom's getting ready for bed, and I'm getting ready for bed, and we kind of meet in the middle, right? She's coming out the bathroom, I'm going in, and we look at each other, and that understanding, like, holy crap, it's a girl, right? And I was like, we did it. We lived long enough to see a woman be the leader of not only literally the motherland, but also give El Grito de Dolores and pay homage to all of the revolutionaries, and especially all the women, and really highlighting in a culture that is so geared to some capacity, putting women in their place, that a woman is strong and she is capable and she can be in power and lead a whole country. And when I tell y'all, like, we embraced, and I sobbed after I went in the bathroom. I freaking cried. I'm trying to not cry right now. But we both literally were like, es mujer, like, holy crap, like, we got to see it. And, like, well, granted, not gonna lie to y'all, my lovely, you know, you think about a lot of things. In the fine, ripe age of 31, I was like, I would have loved to sit there with my mom, with a little girl of my own, to share that moment. And so Mexican presidents run for a period of 6 years. And, well, now me being at the ripe age of 31 and having endometriosis and no uterus also being a factor. But while I sit there knowing that, like, I might never get the chance to have that moment, I'm happy that I was able to share it with her. And that I was able to see change to that capacity. And again, this is not speaking directly to the way the government is over there in the presidency, but, like, that woman has been doing so much, especially with the tensions rising with the US and, like, essentially cutting the middleman out, and, like, Canada and Mexico being like, Wonder Twin powers activate. Like, that's a whole other thing. But it felt amazing, and it really got me to thinking. Not only, like, I was going to talk about it for pop culture, but also, and I said I wouldn't cry. I'm out here tearing up. But I also said that these episodes were going to be 30 minutes long for today, apart from the makeup. Like, the makeup is its own little fraction of time, but that, like, this part was going to be 30 minutes, and we're way past that at this point. Starting my abilities to yap. But I sat there and I was like, you know, what is life but our own history in the making? Every one of us. And if you're sitting here, my lovely hummingbirds, and you're like, Monroe, what the fuck does this got to do with makeup and motivation? First off, makeup is sprinkled and littered throughout history as a form of rebellion. Fashion is a statement to our experiences, to our cultures, to the people that came before us, to the stories that were written or those that never got fully written down. The way we present ourselves in life. The makeup we choose to wear, the makeup we choose to not put on. The ways in which we style our hair, the ways in which we stand tall or sit up straight. The moments where we speak up or where we stay quiet. All of it is a little piece of us making our very own history. I sat there with myself, and this is a conversation that, like, I've had with individuals in different ways over the years. But I sat there with myself and I was like, damn. In moments such as these, in moments such as we're living, or even in our daily lives, we get so sprung up into the monotony of it all, into fulfilling something, that we forget to live during all of it. And, like, as someone, my lovely, I've been clinically dead before. I can tell you, every moment matters. Every memory, every day. You remember the most. It ain't the bad shit. It ain't the accolades or the successes. It's the moments shared with the people around you, with the world around you, with yourself. And with today's episode being history in the making, how are you treating yourself at this time? Considering we do have an Aries supermoon. And it was like, what's the first 3 of 2025? And I was like, what do you mean? We're going to have all 3 at the end of the year? That's not potentially chaotic at all. But I'm going to just... That's an AGOS conversation pending. But a grain of salt conversation pending. But I sat there and I was like... And I've been thinking a lot since this, especially all this eclipse energy we just had. Sheesh. But... I've always been a person that has wanted more out of life. Bigger than life thoughts over here on this one. And very a la Coco, right? I definitely wanted to be remembered. Not only in the lives of the individuals that surround me, but on a much larger scale. And so many people are like, that I see so many things. I need to, well, I haven't been perpetually online as I can be, but I've been out here lifing. I'd see people be like, oh, I didn't try for fame. Fame just found me and blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, I don't know about fame, but I definitely do want to be remembered. And not just for being entirely myself as I am and all my craziness, but also because I want to do something that matters. I want to do something that helps people. I want to do things for people that found themselves in situations similar to my own and felt like no one else understood, and then they popped up on a video on YouTube and they were like, this bitch gets it. I've always wanted more. And I sat there thinking about my personal history in the making, and when it comes to makeup and motivation, when it comes to daily life, my lovely hummingbirds, how do you live your life with purpose? Not simply for a purpose, right? Not just simply to accomplish something. How do you live your life intentionally? One of the things when it comes to manifestation, right? When it comes to having goals, to building this larger than life for ourselves, or having more than we do at present, we get so hooked on the reason. We get so hooked on the purpose of it. We get so hooked on the ultimate final goal and the success of things, that we start losing why. We start living our lives in this, it has to be this, it has to be this, it has to be this. And we start losing the intention behind our actions and why we began in the first place. And so I sat there and I was like, what makes history? What makes our lives? And it really, I mean, history in the making is nothing but the little actions that we take every day in our lives to build our lives, to get to whatever it is we're getting to. How can we live more intentionally? Not simply living for a purpose, but with purpose. With the intention to not simply accomplish something, but to do better in life. To, yes, accomplish things, but not for the sake of simply accomplishing and receiving accolades, but with the intention to live a purposeful life. To live a life where we help not only ourselves, but others. We all create our personal histories, our personal journeys. Some a little more muddled than others, some a little more chaotic than others. Some of us, our journeys in life are to experience the chaos and the muddledness so that we can then come forward and be like, hey, don't do that. Yeah, that one thing that I did, don't do that. Some of us are out here meant to speak anecdotes, right? Via our own experiences. Whatever your purpose. And I used to give y'all homework on makeup and motivation. I know I've said it before, but I'm saying it again this week, in case we forgot. This week, I want you to write down 3 things. 3 things of how you're going to live life more intentionally. Okay. 3 things of what drives you to do more in life. What drives you to wake up in the morning. It can be as simple as that. And 3 things you want to achieve. And once you look at everything, what is the purpose of it? Is it simply to entertain? Is it simply to have fun? Is it to heal others? Is it to heal yourself? Why are you doing it? Sometimes we get so stuck in the details of it all. Right? The how we're going to get there, the steps we got to take, the actions of every day, and how this is going to look and how that's going to look, and then we forget the, why am I doing this to begin with? What is my history in the making moment and why? This goes very in line, and I'm pretty sure I'd spoken about this on Pop Culture. I'd be surprised if I hadn't. Or I talked about it on A Grain of Salt. Either way, it goes in line with, like, I don't know, something I always heard growing up, and I don't know if it's, like, a Mexican saying or not. Probably not. Don't know, but if you were to show up at the pearly gates, or wherever you believe that you go after death, and they showed you a book of your life, what would you want to be in it? And I mean, you had to sit there and thumb through the whole damn thing. What would you want to be in it? Would you want it to be the moments of sorrow, the moments of where you made yourself small? Where you shrank, and you shrank so far down to the point where you just stayed there? Or would you want it to be a life full of chaos and ups and downs and joyous moments and moments of mistakes and lessons and partying and having fun and laughter and wanting and reaching for more? reaching for joy, reaching a helping hand to somebody else. Moments where you can look back and sit there and watching sunsets and skyscrapers and mountains and whatever brings you a sense of peace. What would you want your book of life to say? What would you like your history in the making to be? And go forward and live your life as that. Because trust me when I tell you that is the truest version of yourself. Mine just so happens to be a quirky little thing out here doing podcasts and shit for y'all. But, you know, awareness, advocacy, mental health, endometriosis, spiritual readings, and a bunch of other stuff that I do on this gorgeous channel for y'all, including reviews and stuff. But shameless plug aside, when it's all said and done, how do you wish to be seen? How do you wish to be remembered? Because I know for me, I just want to gleam at freaking St. Peter and be like, I did it. Everything I was set out to do, everything he told me I had to do, everything God was like, hey, you better go do that. I did it. I know the world feels like it's going to shit. More and more every day. It really fucking does. The smallest of actions have a trickle effect. They can have a domino effect. They can be the little snowball that causes the avalanche. So do what you need to in your lives, my lovely hummingbirds, to live a life filled with purpose, filled with action, filled with joy, and filled with the most authentic you that you can muster. Have fun. Enjoy life. And know that everything will be okay. One way or another. Because it always is. I hope this episode gave you a little bit of solace. I hope it gave you a little bit of information. I hope to see you again tomorrow or next week. Stay tuned for more information about the Patreon. That is coming very soon. Your girl's working on it as best she can. Amongst everything else going on right now. But I love you. If no one else has told you, I'm so incredibly proud of you. I'm so happy you're alive. I'm so happy you're here. Thank you for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe, all of that. It helps. It really does. But as always, sending you much peace, many kisses, and running it over to look up at the moon. I love you all so much, my lovely hummingbirds. You have my whole heart. And yeah, I love you. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.